guys, and welcome to this video on the fitting of my LED awning light. It's an LED strip, but what I would like to point out from the get-go is that the LEDs that I'm using aren't technically designed to be outside. So just bear that in mind. I've never used them outside before. This is a first for me, but they are very well made, and they use 3M self-adhesion on the back, which is one of the best you can actually get, and they're made by a good company, so I'm going to give them a go. I've done a bit of research. The 3M sticky stuff generally sort of lasts on an adhesion basis for 2 to 3 years depending on climate, etc. But I'm going to take a few additional measures to try and ensure that A, they stay up there as long as possible, and B, give them a little bit of protection from the elements. So let's take a look at what I'm actually going to fit. My chosen poison are the Energizer LED strip light. So inside the box we have your unit controller. This is like an antenna for the remote control. This little unit here plugs into the end of your LEDs. That is the kind of fitting that they come with, and if you take that little plastic cap off, you've got 4 pins there which plug into your controller like so. When you take that cap off, look after those pins, you don't want to damage them. So you've got your controller, you've got your remote control. They come with various clips and fittings, and you have your this is one 5-meter roll of packaging. They have the ends on both ends. You can actually join them together to make a 10-meter run if that's what you wanted to do, or you'll get one of those on each 5-meter run. One roll's enough for me. That's going to be a spare. They're not waterproof. Well, they are waterproof, but they're not designed to be outside in the elements, so I'm going to take a few precautions. I've used these LEDs before on an outside application, and they have performed really well. Put it this way, they are still in place on my boat, and they've been outside, and that's salty air, sea air, etc. But I took the same precautions. That's got to be over a year ago I did that, and I've taken the same precautions installing these ones to help prolong their life. I don't see there'd be a problem. So I may even later try and purchase like a clear cover to slot along the length. We'll see. If they last 2 or 3 years, I'll be more than happy, but time will tell. Now, unfortunately, my first job that I undertook was to drill the hole through the side of the van. And I didn't video it because I was a little bit apprehensive as to whether or not it was going to work. You need to put your hand inside and try and at least locate the inside of the skin, so to see where you're going to be drilling through, and to make sure that you're not going to be coming through on a bulkhead or something else or do some serious damage. So that's the most important thing to do. I've managed to stick a light in there, and I've managed to get my phone through the hole. I hope you can hear me. That is basically where I came through. What you can see there is the top of the door pillar on the inside, and that's where all my cables run through above the door, and you can actually just make out my LED strip that is poking through. So this is the compartment behind the lighting control panel in my vehicle. So there's quite a few wires in there, but overall not too terrible. That's the size of the hole that I'm working in at the moment. You can just see everything in there. And this is where the hole was outside the vehicle. I have brought through my LED strip, which runs right the way to the very end of Rory. And then I've got 2 stainless steel, like little miniature shell vents, which I have bonded on there. And what I've done inside here, I put a little rubber grommet around the hole so that there wouldn't be any damage to the LED strip. And then I don't know if I can show you, but you can just make out that I've packed it initially full of silicone to block the hole up and to seal up around this vent. And what I will do now, my next stage for this is going to be literally to fill it again with more silicone so that it's flush around that fitting, just as an extra watertight seal. Now what else I've done, you can probably just about make it out in the sunlight, is I ran a bead of masking tape on the side of the van and on the top of the light, just about 1mm/2 millimeters in, and I have run a bead of silicone. Let's try and show you. I've run a bead of silicone down the entire length of the top of the LED strip. Again, they stuck on there like to a blanket, but the silicone has provided a nice little smooth edge off the top of the LED, so again preventing moisture from getting in behind it. What I need to do now is do the same underneath, so let's crack on with that job. I'm just going to go round the old silicone that I've laid just to clean up a few bits where I've left a few marks. Gugon does the job for me, but there are plenty of other adhesive removers. Just a splash of rubbing alcohol. I'm going to run it along the lower edge just to make sure we get rid of any dirt and grease. This stuff actually can remove silicone as well, so it's quite good stuff. Now I'm going to apply the first run of masking tape, and I think you might just be able to work out that I am about 1mm in on the LED strip. You see the strip? The strip's here, and I'm showing about 1mm underneath it. I've now applied the second row as well, leaving about a good millimetre underneath the LED strip all the way along. That's so hard to get that straight, but still it's pretty good. And this is the other end, the far end of the van, ready to apply my little bit of sealant. That's the masking tape removed. There's only one thing left to do really on this stage, and that's just to run my finger along the lip to make sure that the masking tape didn't lift up any of the silicone. The silicone I've used was Sikaflex. I like Sikaflex. Always had good results with it. And it's a clear EBT silicone, so it's probably pretty much like everyone else's silicone, but I just stick with the old Sika. Now that's done, I've wiped down the edge just to make sure it was all nice and flush. I'm going to fill the end caps up to a level so that they're all completely sealed in. And that is the exterior part of the job pretty much finished. Just going to let that bead dry off. I've filled the end caps right up to the outer face. I'll check them over when it's dry. Now unfortunately, while I was doing all that, a gust of wind came along and blew my cover off my van. So now I've got to recover that and put it back on. Lovely job. So just some of the products that I've used today. I have used Sikaflex EBT. It's just an adhesive sealant filler. It's a clear one. It's not mega expensive, but it's waterproof and UVA, UVB, blah, 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 blah. So hopefully it should last probably longer than maybe the LED lights might do out there. Rubbing alcohol, get that anywhere, on eBay, Amazon, whatever. And Goo Gone, which I use to remove sort of adhesive and stuff like that. It's very good stuff for that. I've lost more of this on worktops and stuff where I've knocked the bottle over than I've used. I've had this bottle about a year and I swear I should have half as much again. And of course, LED lights. So now, let's try and get on and wire things up. Now in my little cubby hole that is where my control panel rests, I've got a couple of options. I've got these two wires here that aren't doing anything at all. And I've got another one, I've got another one here, quite a big boy. Gonna be at least 16 amp that baby. So I've got a choice of two here. So I'm just going to put a meter on them and see exactly what or not they're doing. All right, let's see what these are doing. At the moment, I've got this. At the moment, I've got the control panel switched off. It's not isolated, but it's just switched off at the panel. So I'm just going to probe these two here and see what they're telling me on the grand scheme of things. 20. What? I thought that said 24 volts there for a second. I'm going to say it can't be. $30 volts. Right. Hold tight. Right, this one here. That one. This one here is 12.95. So that one there is clearly a permanent live away from the control panel. This one here is, I don't understand what that's reading. If I turn the power on, this one again, 12.95, and this one, that is a weird thing. Now if I turn the lights on, that's internal lights. That's reading 13.10. What I don't grasp with that, it's reading 13.10 with the lights switched on, and with the lights off, it's all over the place. Lights on. There you go. You can see that. 13 volts. Right, so I've got two choices here. I either go with the permanent live and switch it, which is what I think I will do. So this one here was all over the place, milliamps and this, that and the other. Didn't like the look of that one. This one is a permanent live, so I suppose it'll be good that if I use the permanent live, when I leave the vehicle I can turn all the interior stuff off and leave the outside lights on. Quite like that idea. So I could use this one and put a switch in, which I'll probably put in up here. This is the switch that I've decided to use. They've been used in the van already, so I'm going to assume they're quite a generic, standard factory fit switch. It's got a light on this one, so we're going to put one of those in. Checking that there's nothing behind them before you drill. I'm going to put one here and one here. The one furthest to the left is going to be for the outside lights, and the one on the right is going to be for something else. Right, let's drill me hole. Right, I'm through. Right, I've cleaned my hole up, and that one will basically be for the switch, which sits in there. Now that cutter is a 20.5mm cutter, which is what generally these little button switches all are. But check, and then it will pop in there like so, and happy days. Okay, already establishing that I'm going to use that permanent live that's up in the control box. I need to create 2 fly leads in this case. I want 2 separate lives from it. So basically I have got 16 amp cable and put them into a crimp, which that one is done. I've got my 2 lengths of 16 amp cable. I'm just going to intertwine them gently together, not making them too bulky, otherwise you'll find they won't fit inside your crimp terminal. Pop that, screwing it on like so, and you can feel it going inside. Any heavier wire than this and you won't get 2 in there, but they're in there like so. And then a pair of crimpers like so, and it's quite hard with 2 wires in it. Oh yes. And I do it once and then I move it along slightly just to the end of the crimp to give me the perfect join. Give it a tug, make sure it's nice and tight, no problems there. I'm going to put a bit of heat shrink over that as well. Okay, 2 pieces of heat shrink just slipped over both terminals like so, and then a little bit of warmth. Who doesn't like a bit of heat shrink? Lovely. To try and explain the wiring in brief, we had our power supply, which was a permanent supply, which I've decided to come off. I have run 2 tails from the live and 2 tails from the negative, because I have 2 switches that I want to put in. In terms of your rocker switch, the easiest way to look at them is one of the blades will be gold and the other 2 are silver. So basically what we have here, working from the left to the right, is the first one is the live to whatever you're trying to power. The second one is the live to your power supply, and the third one, which is like generally it's a golden color, is the neutral to your power supply and the neutral to what you're actually powering up. So that's about it for the video on the exterior lights. I hope you've enjoyed that one. Like and subscribe, please drop your comments if you want to, and if you found that helpful, take care for now. Now, you don't think I'd let you go without showing you the end results. Couple of daytime pics, and were they bright enough? The white is incredible, and the great thing is they reflect so well off the canopy, so I'm well pleased with the brightness. And you can choose whatever colour you want, brightness, combinations of, etc. So yeah, I'm pleased with them. Don't forget to let me know what you think. The canopy's kind of a whitey silver inside, so it reflects so well. I'm over the moon. Thanks for watching.